It's Sunday. Nice, fine and sunny at the moment, but it rained yesterday afternoon and it was dull. It was dull most of this morning. I actually ran the genset for a while yesterday, between 5 and 6, thinking that it was going to need a bit of extra power over the shed overnight to boost the supply available for the house. As it turned out, it didn't actually use that until about 9 this morning, but it was probably just as well run the genset anyway. But now I've got something else to look at. When I fired up this computer yesterday, it all worked fine except for the fact that there was no internet connection. And because I had my mobile phone here, I was able to confirm that we had internet connection via that thing up there. So I disconnected the cable at the computer end and plugged it back in again, disconnected the cable at the switch end and plugged it back in again, thinking to fix any corrosion problems. That didn't help. Turned off the switch and turned it back on again. That didn't help. Had a separate cable running from a different port on the switch, so I swapped plugs on the back of the computer. That didn't help. So kind of looking like the Ethernet port on the computer is not working. I have here a port expander left over from when I used to have a notebook computer by my bed at home that I would come home from work with it and plug in the power and a USB connection, this one, to the computer, and everything else was left in place. So I had the video port wired to the screen above the bed and Ethernet to my LAN. So I can do the same here with the Ethernet port. So I'll just plug this thing in as a way of getting another Ethernet port and see if that solves my internet problem. That worked okay. It comes up and says I've got network access. I tried unplugging the Ethernet port on the port expander and my internet access went away, so I plugged it back in and we're back to being good again. But kind of indicates that the Ethernet port on the motherboard's gone bad. Just as well I can cope. Yeah, so having sorted that out, I will shut that computer down again and get on with my other task over here. I've got out some of the polycarbonate stuff, a couple of rolls here, because you can see sparrow poo all over the floor here. I'm going to start closing off the gaps up the top and down the sides here. I don't actually have enough silicon sealant at the moment to glue this stuff down, so I've ordered some more of that, but I can start sort of I'll have to cut the funny shaped piece for up the top up there. That's about the only one, because this end's fairly straightforward. It just goes straight up the side here up to the level of the top of the rail up there, and I just put a flat piece across the top of the rail at each point along there. And then at this end, what I'll do is I'll stick it to the inside here, which means that when I get up to the top of the rail there, I've got to have a piece that jogs out and goes up. So that'll be a bit fiddly, but not insurmountable. And I have to allow for the handle there when it's shoved back that far. If we didn't shove it back that far and only took it to there, I could just have this coming down flat, but I'll have to have a little bit of a cutout. Hopefully that won't be enough for the sparrows to figure out that they can get through it. we'll see. Went out yesterday to visit the doctor in the afternoon, as we do periodically for regular medications. And while we were out, there was a bit of a downpour, something like 72 millimetres. So it was a good drop. They don't have to worry quite so much about their crops drying out anymore. But when I got home, the replacement lens for this camera had arrived. So originally I'd ordered an 18 to 55 zoom, but for about $125. But for some reason or other the vendor cancelled the order, which they tend to do on Shopee. I don't know how they can get away with that. In my world, if I sold something to somebody, i.e. I accepted their money for it, I would feel compelled to deliver it, even if I had to go out and buy it for a higher price from somebody else in order to supply it. But that's not the rules the rest of the world plays by, apparently. But anyway, so that lens was cancelled, and I took the opportunity to say, okay, let's spend $270 instead and get an 18 to 140 millimetre. So that's what's on the camera now. And you may or may not hear the motor doing the autofocus thing. But the result should be that my videos should be a bit more in focus more consistently. Yeah, today hopefully I get to go to the dentist. There's a toothache. Just as well we got back from the dentist before this started. Kubota and Lizu and Ara would have been wet in the back of the truck. But yeah, so got my teeth cleaned. We did a check, we couldn't find the source of the problem. So what I got to do is go and get a panoramic X-ray at the local hospital. But cleaning the teeth, $20. It's pretty good value. And his equipment was fairly well up to date. It was pretty much the same as you get a local dentist in Melbourne. Didn't have the X-ray machine, but that's okay. It's a one-man operation with, well, one dentist operation with his assistant in their house. So yeah, get the X-ray, then go back again with the X-ray. And we'll see if we can figure out what's wrong and figure out what to do about fixing it up. But that's for another day. It's Thursday already. Went to local hospital yesterday to get a panoramic X-ray of my teeth. As usual, interesting experience. And hopefully this afternoon go back to the dentist with that in hand, and he'll figure out what the next step is. In the meantime, I'm taking the car fridge back to the shed over here to take those frozen drinks out of the freezer and put them back in this so they thaw out and are usable. And it's time to drain the pressure accumulator again. So here we are at 10 to 10, 29 degrees, 88% humidity outdoor, much the same inside, a little bit drier. But I've transferred the contents of the freezer into here, so that'll thaw out now. It started at 26 degrees down to 7. Probably helped a lot by the fact that the stuff that was in there was frozen already, but that'll get down to 2. I'll turn that off now. That doesn't need to be on at all. So that means the overall power consumption over here will go down a little bit. It wasn't very high, but it'll go down a little bit more. Usually runs at about 100 watts. So with that thing going, it was sometimes up to 200 watts. I haven't got very far on doing my blocking the birds here yet. I'm waiting for my additional silicone sealant to stick up, to show up that I'm going to use as glue for sticking strips of plastic around that. That'll be another day. It's just gone at 5 PM and back from the dentist after showing him the X-ray taken yesterday at the hospital, and he's looked at it and said, yep, your feelings are good, your crown's good, your teeth are good. Okay, so why do I feel pain when you press down on that tooth? Don't know. Which was the story in Australia too for several years. So I have a molar lower left, don't know whether it's the back one or the one immediately in front of that, but like lunch today, a grain of cooked rice on top of that, bite down and it hurts like hell. So I've got all sorts of medication, we'll see what happens. The DVR has arrived for the coax connect camera, so tomorrow I'll take that across to the shed and see what I can do with it. I need to work up a mount for the camera. The current one at the west end of the shed is mounted with at least 2 bolts and it's at a cant, so I'm figuring build a metal sub mount for this, just a plate that the 4 bolts holding the bracket go onto, and just have a single hole top center of that to hang from the original mount, bolt holes, and hopefully that will hang level and be tightened up. So we'll see. This may take more than a day or two because I've got to get help for that, because I'm not allowed to go up top there. Well, it's Friday already and I've had another rethink over here. I think what I need to do is clear off this area of the bench, get that dead QNAP out of the way, and set up that monitor for that DVR. The trick is I've got to find a VGA cable somewhere, because this has got a DVI cable on it and the monitor's got a VGA socket on the back. Probably in one of these boxes I'll find that. This could take me a while. Well, I got to start on it. I've taken the DVI cable off this, and I'll take that back, and I might be able to swap it for another cable over in the house. If I can't find a VGA cable, I'll swap this monitor for the other one I've got over there, which has actually got a HDMI connection, because this thing's also got a HDMI connection. I didn't really want to waste a 28-inch 4K screen on this. Oh, I will if I have to. But yeah, hot. 28 degrees, 83% humidity. That's enough, I'm going home. Well, it's about an hour later. I went and swapped the DVI cable for a VGA cable on another computer, which is quite happy to swap, so I'll get this one in place. Well, I've got power on both and a cable between them, but even though the screen says auto detect, it's not detecting any input, so I might just have to grab the other screen and the HDMI cable and see whether I can get input that way. I'm currently melting down, so that'll have to be another day, so I'll go and edit down what I've got and do an upload.